Infighting within the Punjab Congress continues. Remember, the disgruntled Congress leader Navjot Singh Sidhu met Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi yesterday in the national capital. Back in Punjab, Chief Minister Amrinder Singh is on a mission. He's on a mission to garner support for his side. Amrinder Singh has invited his supporters and MLAs for lunch at his farmhouse today. Sources have told India Today that Captain's lunch diplomacy is aimed to assess who all will back him if Navjot Singh Sidhu is given a key role in the Punjab Congress. Remember that Sidhu had met with Rahul Gandhi for over an hour last evening, and speculation is rife over a key responsibility being given to him in a day or two.
1 hour and 20 minutes. That's how long Navjot Singh Sidhu's meeting with Rahul Gandhi lasted. The meeting between Sidhu and Rahul Gandhi on Wednesday was significant for many reasons. For one, the man Sidhu has taken head-on, Punjab Chief Minister Amrinder Singh, did not get an audience with the Gandhis despite coming to Delhi twice. 2. Sidhu got to meet not only Rahul but also Priyanka Gandhi Vadra after his arrival in Delhi on Tuesday. Interestingly, Sidhu spoke to Priyanka first, and it is likely that meeting opened the doors for his discussions with Rahul. Sidhu, who tweeted a photograph of his meeting with Priyanka, made no such move after talks with Rahul. India Today has also learnt that his meeting with the Gandhis could result in the MLA getting a key post in the Punjab government, and an announcement is likely in a day or two. Amid this turmoil within Congress, Shiromani Akali Dal also jumped in to take pot shots at Sidhu, calling the former cricketer a misguided missile.
Navjot Singh Sidhu एक misguided missile है, जिहदा कोई कंट्रोल नहीं है. ਅੱਜ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਐਕਟਿੰਗ ਵਾਲਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ. ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਇੱਕ ਸੋਬਰ ਬੰਦਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਅਗਵਾਈ ਕਰ ਸਕੇ, ਪੰਜਾਬ ਨੂੰ ਅੱਗੇ ਲਿਜਾ ਸਕੇ, ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਸੋਚ ਸਕੇ.
In a blistering counter-attack, Sidhu claimed that he is a guided missile aimed at ending Badal's alleged corrupt businesses. While the buzz is that Sidhu's Delhi mission was successful, Captain Amrinder Singh appears to be plotting his next move. He has invited his supporters and MLAs for a lunch at his farmhouse in a show of strength. With Mausami Singh and Anand Patel in Delhi and Manjeet Sehgal in Chandigarh, Bureau Report, India Today.
India, meanwhile, has warned the European Union over its denial of a green pass to Covishield jab beneficiaries after the European Union cited norms for no green pass not for the Indian vaccine. India sent across a very stern warning to the European Union. Sources have told India Today that India will begin a reciprocal policy when it comes to exemption from quarantine for European countries. India has clearly told the European Union that Covishield and Covaxin must be notified at its digital COVID certificate. Under the new Green Pass scheme, people vaccinated with Covishield are unlikely to be allowed to travel to the member states of the European Union because it's yet to get any clearance. Now, after being targeted by the BJP as well as the JDU because they accused these leaders of spreading vaccine hesitancy, BJP Assembly Leader of Opposition Tejaswi Yadav as well as Tej Pratap took the first dose of Russia's Sputnik vaccine on Wednesday. This has given rise to fresh vaccine politics in the state of Bihar.
Tejaswi Yadav has been a target of the BJP and JDU over his reluctance to take the COVID-19 vaccine. But that defiance has changed now. On Wednesday afternoon, Lalu's son Tej Pratap and Tejaswi reached Medanta Hospital in Patna and took the first dose of the Sputnik vaccine. Medanta Hospital is the first in Bihar where the Russian vaccine has been made available.
बहुत लोग बोलते रहते हैं, बोलने दीजिए, उनका अपना काम. हम लोगों ने स्पुतनिक लगाया.
The change of heart came less than a week after the former Bihar Deputy CM said he would take the jab when needed. Both Tejaswi and Tej Pratap have been relentlessly criticizing the Nitish government's vaccination drive. The JDU slammed the brothers for taking a Russian vaccine and not a homegrown one.
तेजस्वी यादव कोविड-19 के टीकाकरण को जनवरी 2021 में काल्पनिक बता रहे थे और ये अभी तक मुगालते में थे, लेकिन खैर टीका लिया तो देसी नहीं विदेशी.
What could have changed their mind is a direction issued by the Bihar Assembly Speaker. that every legislator needs to get vaccinated before the beginning of the monsoon session of the House. With Rohit Singh in Patna, Bureau Report, India Today.
The Bombay High Court has pulled up the Maharashtra government for waiting to get the centre's nod to start vaccinations at home for the disabled and the elderly. The state has now started doorstep delivery of vaccination for the needy, and India Today's Mustafa Sheikh gets you all the details from Mumbai.
It took a nudge from the Bombay High Court, but doorstep vaccination has finally started in Maharashtra. Lata Mahadev Dhotre in Pune is among the first beneficiaries. The 70-year-old got her anti-COVID vaccine at home without even stepping out. Thanks to the new vaccination drive by the Pune Municipal Corporation.
घरी येऊन आम्हाला इंजेक्शन दिलं आम्हाला चालायला येत नाही.
The door-to-door vaccination in the city is run with the help of NGOs. All the beneficiaries are asked to gather at one place for vaccination. Those who are not able to reach the common area are administered doses at their home.
विकलांग लोग, कुष्ठ रोगी लोग, बहुत सीनियर लोग जिनका आधार कार्ड नहीं है, जिनका रेशन कार्ड भी नहीं है, जो मतिमंद लोग हैं, सबका हमने सेशन किया है. आज तक 2000 से 2500 तक हमने वैक्सीनेशन किया है इन लोगों को, वंचित लोगों के लिए.
In Mumbai's Krishna Nagar Chawl, the elderly are waiting for doorstep vaccination eagerly. Sarita More is 66 years old and could not afford a knee replacement surgery. She is unable to walk, neither she can afford the vaccine.
पाय का प्रॉब्लम है, पाँव का प्रॉब्लम है. लसीकरण चालू है ना, तो मैं देगी. आप घर में इधर आने को शक्ति नहीं है, घर में आना फिर देने का, मैं देगी.
Hundreds like Sarita are demanding vaccination at home for those who are unable to travel. With inputs from Pankaj Khelkar in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
The highest court of India has given an ultimatum to the centre. The Supreme Court has given the centre 6 weeks' time to decide exactly what the ex gratia compensation will be for families of COVID-19 victims. The top court, the Supreme Court, has said that the ex gratia under the Disaster Management Act is mandatory and it's not discretionary. The court, however, has left it to the government to decide exactly how much of compensation will be given.
Every single victim of COVID-19 is entitled to ex gratia compensation. These are the words of the highest court of India. The court further added that the National Disaster Management Authority has failed to do its duty in not recommending an ex gratia for victims. The Supreme Court has directed the NDMA to decide the minimum financial relief for those families who have lost someone to COVID-19 within 6 weeks. The top court ruled that ex gratia to victims of a national disaster under Section 12 of the Disaster Management Act is mandatory and not discretionary. The Supreme Court also rejected the argument of the centre reading shall as may in Section 12 of the Disaster Management Act. The court has left it to the NDMA to decide the amount to be provided, keeping the funds in mind. It has directed that death certificates of COVID-19 should show the exact reason and date of the death. The facility will be set up for correcting the cause of the death if a family is not satisfied. The ruling was given by a bench comprising Justices Ashok Bhushan and M.R. Shah. They were hearing a petition demanding 4 lakh rupees ex gratia for COVID victims. The central government had filed an affidavit in the court saying ex gratia of 4 lakh is not possible due to financial constraints.
The court also took note of the fact that death certificates do not reflect death by COVID-19 and has asked the authorities to ensure that the rules and the streamlining of the guidelines is done as soon as possible. In addition, the court has also noted that the 15th Finance Commission recommendations for a universal medical insurance scheme for COVID must also be implemented as soon as possible. In New Delhi, this is Anisha Mathur for India Today.
At least 7 drones have been spotted for 4 consecutive days in Jammu now, and that's why an anti-drone system has been installed at the Indian Air Force Station in Jammu. The NIA, which is probing the drone strike case, has also intensified its investigation. It will be recording the statement of 2 Jawans who claim to have seen the drones that dropped the explosives at the Jammu Air Force Base.
"4 days, 7 drones. The threat is real and escalating. The Indian security grid is on its toes ever since suspected Pakistan-sponsored terrorist in Jammu turned to high-tech terror. After mini drones dropped explosives targeting an Indian Air Force base in Jammu and many similar attempts over the last few days, the counter plan to deal with the threat is ready. Sources say an anti-drone system has been deployed by the National Security Guard at the Air Force Station in Jammu. This includes both offensive and defensive mechanism. The forces will use electro-optic system for high-tech surveillance. The forces have also deployed radio frequency detector, soft jammers and anti-drone guns to neutralize any future threat. Meanwhile, the NIA, which is probing Jammu drone attacks, will record statements of 2 Jawans, an airman and a Defence Security Corps sentry, who claim to have seen the drones that dropped explosives on the airbase in Jammu. Sources say the drones used in the attack by terrorists are small quadcopters, and it is possible they took off from close proximity of the airbase. With drone terror threat escalating and emerging as a big challenge, the security agencies are leaving no stone unturned to secure the country's big cities and primary security and civil installations. As Independence Day approaches, the anti-drone system developed by DRDO has been deployed near Red Fort. The system can detect and jam micro-drones up to 3 kilometers. This shield system uses laser to bring down a target. Over the past few years, terrorists in Syria, Iraq and Afghanistan have been using mini drones for terror, but India was immune to it so far. Now that the threat is finally here, the security establishment is acting swiftly to neutralize any attack from the skies. Bureau Report, India Today.
Google is in the line of fire again, this time over a serious breach of privacy. Sources have told India Today that during a deposition before the Parliamentary Standing Committee on IT, the global tech giant's representatives admitted that its employees actually listened to private recordings of customer conversations via Google Assistant.
There's a little Google in everyone's life. If you're online in any shape or form, there's almost zero chance that Google isn't part of your existence. You've always known somewhere that tech companies keep tabs on your life, your habits, what you watch, what you shop for, where you go, who you meet, and what you say. But Google's links in your life have just become a little more explicit. During a deposition before India's Parliamentary Standing Committee on Information Technology, headed by Congress MP Shashi Tharoor, on the need to safeguard citizens' rights, top sources tell India Today that Google representatives admitted that Google employees listen to private recordings of customer conversations via Google Assistant. Sources say Google admitted that its employees listen when users with Google Assistant on their phones and smart speakers say "OK Google" to kickstart a conversation with the assistant, very much like Amazon's Alexa. Significantly, the Google team admitted that some user conversations were recorded even when users weren't activating Google Assistant. Google has said that only general conversations were recorded, never anything sensitive. Now, how Google actually differentiates is something it didn't clarify to the parliamentary panel. To sum up, admission number 1, employees do listen to private recordings via Google Assistant. They listen to Google Assistant instructions, but that these recordings are of general conversations, nothing sensitive.
Get a Lyft ride to my hotel.
The admissions by Google explain why lakhs of users, right after asking Google Assistant, for instance, about hotels in a city, start getting messages on their accounts on different platforms about deals and offers, is what one member of the parliamentary panel observed. Deeming it a serious breach of user privacy, the panel's final report is expected to make recommendations to the central government on it.
I think currently, in the absence of a data privacy law, it looks very difficult because all these things are done in the form of collecting data for precision advertisement. So in my opinion, once we have the data privacy bill in place, then I think we will be able to better regulate these companies and maybe deny certain things or maybe force them to clarify to every user that how they are collecting your data, when they are collecting and how they are using.
The panel firmly conveyed to representatives from Google and other tech giants, including Facebook, that they need to plug loopholes urgently in their existing data protection and privacy policy mechanism and install stringent safeguards.
The government can mandate the service providers like Google to stop hearing the conversations of the users who are using Google Assistant in India. Why? Because Google is an intermediary under Section 21W of the Information Technology Act 2000. It's mandated to exercise due diligence.
Social media platforms that have challenged India's new IT rules have found Indian politicians uniting across party lines to direct Facebook, Google and others to comply with the country's laws. The absence of a political divide has led to extensive grueling of teams from these tech giants. With Rahul Srivastav in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.